Thank you. This meeting is taking place entirely by teleconference via Zoom. The public is accessing the meeting via the Santa Ana YouTube channel or the city's website. The subcommittee members and I, along with the city staff and recording secretary, are in different locations. Please bear with us as the technology may disrupt the flow of the meeting. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the February 6, 2023 joint School Collaboration City Council Subcommittee regular meeting to order at 6:04. Will the recording secretary please call roll?
Thank you, Chairperson. Subcommittee Member Hernandez.
Present.
Subcommittee Member Alvarez.
Present.
Subcommittee Member Lopez.
Here.
Subcommittee Member Torres.
Here.
You have a quorum, Chairperson.
Thank you. Mr. Almendarez, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I think you're muted.
Superintendent, you're muted.
I apologize for that. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America
and to the republic for which stands one
nation under God,
Indivisible, with
liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for
for all.
Thank you very much. Sorry about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to, actually, next on the agenda is the time for public comments. Recording secretary, does anybody wish to speak?
Chairperson, there are no public comments this evening.
Thank you. And on to the consent calendar. Do we have a motion? Yeah, do we have a motion to approve the minutes from December 5th, 2022 meeting and excuse absences?
I'm happy to move the item.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lopez. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Councilmember Hernandez. And do we have to vote on this? Do we do roll call vote?
Chairperson is duly noted.
Duly noted. Okay, thank you. So no roll call vote.
No roll.
Thank you. So we have two items under new business. I will turn this over to the Executive Director of Public Works, Nabil Saba, for item 1. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Nabil Saba, the Director of Public Works Agency for the City of Santa Ana. The purpose of this item is to respond to the mayor's request, for our city mayor request for an update on the request of the city of the school district to partially fund the school crossing guard program. We would like to get the committee's input of the report to the mayor. We plan to provide this input in the form of an email going to the entire city council. And I'm here, I wanted to just again touch base with you for that request and see what type of reports you would like us to share with the mayor. As you all know, the mayor did ask in public that we provide her with an update on the request. And with that, I'm opening the forum for your discussion so we know what to report back to our city council and the mayor.
Does anybody want to speak? Mr. Almendarez?
Yes. So I think the report would be along the lines of the district and the city are continuing to do an assessment of the partnerships that the district has with the city. Things like that we need to take into consideration are the Godinez athletic fields and facilities, the use of the Santa Ana, use by Santa Ana High School for the stadium and the soccer programs, in addition to other spaces that are the district is paying for in regards to the usage that are city-owned facilities. So I think the ongoing discussion with the city and how we can find a balance to offset some of those costs are in the process right now. And so I know that we are working very collaboratively with the city staff. Oren Williams and Hawk are meeting on a regular basis to kind of navigate that.
Any other comments or questions regarding this item?
Yeah, I do. Just if you could remind me, Hawk and Jerry, because this is something that we've discussed in other meetings. What's the timeline, do you think, that something could be brought to the committee and then we can discuss if we want to move it forward to the council?
We really don't have a timeline, but again, we keep going back and forth, and when we think we're making progress, we get halted or when the meetings get pushed back or something. But again, we're meeting again. I know next week we have a meeting, so we'll continue to push forward. But there is progress and there is interest on both sides.
Okay.
So we'll try to get you as soon as possible.
And I believe process-wise, I'm not sure that they would make recommendations to this committee. I mean, I guess they could, but I know that's a conversation between like eventually the city manager and the superintendent, and then it would just, I assume, discussed in closed session.
Yeah, we
Agendized by each governing body.
correct. We would once we reach some sort of consensus on the direction we're going, then the city staff would take it back to the mayor and the city council for a closed session discussion, as well as us on the district side.
Councilmember Hernandez?
Thank you, Chairperson Torres, and thank you, city staff and Superintendent Almandades for being here today. I'm supportive of seeing the city of Santa Ana and Santa Ana Unified work closely together. I think that this is a relationship that should work very fluidly. And I think that together there's so much that we can improve. So I'm looking forward to supporting this as a member of this committee and as a member of the Santa Ana City Council. So whatever direction we go in, count on Santa Ana to be there along the way.
Thank you. Mr. Hawk?
Yeah, I just wanted to add
Mr.
to,
Scott, I'm sorry. Mr. Scott.
it's all right. It's a lifelong thing that they'll get them wrong. Councilman Hernandez has me right every time now. So
Sorry.
I appreciate it. So does Ms. Lopez. Like I said, the main thing is we're looking at how to divide it, and because it comes to facilities, joint with the joint use, and we're trying to come to where we have a joint, like one master plan that would be athletic fields, facilities, and then come the parking, and then like some miscellaneous. So that's something we are working forward, because right now they are all over the place, to be honest. So, and that's something we're looking to get to one like main master agreement that has maybe 4 subsections for each, like I said, facilities, athletics, or whatever it may be. So I just wanted to add that. That's what we're working toward.
Thank you. Councilmember Hernandez?
Yes, thank you, Chairperson Torres. Just wanted to piggyback on what Director Hawk Scott mentioned. I really like that you guys are looking to break that down, Director Scott, into different categories. My question to you is community and neighborhood associations, community nonprofits, is that a category we can expect to see? Because
yes,
it's one that I expect to see.
Yes, and that would fall under like facilities. So with the schools, when it comes to like sports, athletic stuff like that, that would be, softball fields or baseball fields, gymnasium, stuff like that. And then when it comes to facilities, it would be something for like, like the classrooms or, for like what you just said. So yes.
Okay, wonderful. All right, that is good to hear. Thank you for the confirmation, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is there any other comments or questions?
Yes.
Go ahead, Councilwoman Lopez.
Thanks, Chairperson. Just kind of circling back with Jerry and Hawk, can we count on something being brought forth to our governing bodies before May?
I'm supportive of that, Councilmember Lopez. Just wanted to be on the record.
Yeah, it is possible. But again, it's just like I said, getting us all in the same room and all of us really, narrowing it down. And in this case, bringing my experiences of, the relationships I had with previous ISDs and the amazing relationships we had to say, hey, let's work something toward this, because it could be something new here and something never heard of or thought of. But again, it's worth a try. And if we get all the language right, I think it would be very successful, because like we all agree here, the same youth, the same adults, the same active adults all use the same facilities we all use. So, why not work together?
Yeah, I agree. I think having a larger like master, as much as you can, right? There might be some things that don't get in there, but is the best way, because I think when it's outlined that way, you can see like what the district is benefiting from versus the city versus the district. And you can kind of tease it out in a more fair way, as opposed to taking things on isolated accounts. You see the full picture of like how we can support each other and our different, I guess, well, we govern the same people, but the different kind of requirements and responsibilities of each of our areas. But I think, but it is a lofty goal, right? Because I think for the past forever, it's been kind of these isolated like things, and some of them have been, from my understanding, kind of handshake deals, informalized. So this way we can get everything formalized and there can be less confusion, and then we can move on to more collaborative things outside of like facilities and more like events and programming and etc. Any other questions or comments on this item?
Yes.
Yes, good.
Last one is, we're all very interested in Santa Ana Unified being part of the Chicano Heritage Festival. So I'm just saying, as part of the Parks Master Plan, we want to include that as well. Director Hawk Scott, I want to see a component of events, because since we're utilizing our parks, it would make a lot of sense for us to include the components of education. And partnering with Santa Ana Unified creates a bridge between community, play, culture, and learning. And I think all of those things, when you put them together, create the wellness that we're all looking to achieve. So that is my final ask, Director, if we can see that included. And I think that we have an amazing school board who can do some really amazing and powerful things alongside us. So we certainly want to start that relationship this year with you all.
Yeah, and if I can add on to that, yes, and it won't just be Chicano Heritage. It'll be, we want you guys on Fiestas, Juneteenth, all our festivals are, our community, and you guys already come out to our movies in the parks, get all information. But again, if we can make that bigger and brighter and more fun, and like I said, get maybe some of the schools more involved on stage, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, I think that's why I would like to, as soon as we can get these facilities questions, or even before we get them locked down, the more collaborative approach, because I know us as board members, we show up to things all the time, but it's usually kind of informal. And we'll have a table, like we always have like a district table, but like way more visibility of that collaborative spirit.
Absolutely.
But any other comments, questions on this item? No, that's all. No, okay. We're gonna move on to item 2. I believe that's Superintendent Amadares.
Actually, I'm going to start with this one.
Okay.
Item number 2 is literacy.
Yeah.
Literacy is one of the more priorities. The school board has identified 5 priorities that we want to work towards. Student achievement is one of them, and literacy falls under that board priority. And I think that literacy is one of those areas where we can work together. I think that you guys are already doing some things related to literacy. We're doing it also. So it's all about meshing it together and making it flow seamlessly. In 2016, the Harvard Graduate School of Education published a report, and in that report, they were looking at impoverished communities and they were looking at the achievement gap. And in their study, they found that there were some communities, impoverished communities, where the achievement gap was lower than similar communities. And when they took a deeper dive into those communities nationwide, they found that the commonality was that the achievement gap was lower in communities where the city and the school district worked together. And I think we're on the right path. We started this conversation. We're talking about working together and doing all of those things. In regards to literacy, I have been watching the city council meetings. I've seen that there is a will by the city council to expand libraries and library services. And I think that the part of the solution is simple. When Vince Sarmiento was mayor, at one of the council meetings, he said, instead of reinventing the wheel, why don't we just partner with the school district? They already have libraries. And up until 2018, in 2018, we went through a financial crisis. Before then, we had 2 libraries that were open in partnership with the city of Santa Ana, the library at Century and the library at Valley High School. They were both open. The library was open from 8 to 3 for students. At 3 o'clock, we opened it up to the community, and then it would stay open until 8 o'clock. And I think that something like that would also solve the other issue that was brought up in regards to community use of our facilities in the school. Well, if we have a joint use agreement, if we have a partnership in regarding to our libraries, that would mean that outside groups could come in and use the facility. The other thing that I was also thinking of was how can we work together in the your summer reading program? My daughter, when she was younger, before COVID, we used to go to the library every week, and she was involved in the summer reading program, and she loved being at the library. She loved seeing the kids being all excited about turning in their reports and being able to pick out. They had bikes, they had toys, they had everything. So the whole thing is how do we integrate the different events that are going on in the city and incorporate literacy? And I think that there are different ways, just like we talked about how to incorporate our students into all those community events, whether it be music or it be arts or whatever. I think that I think that it is definitely something that will benefit our communities. And in regards to the bookmobile, you guys have a bookmobile. You spend a lot of money on it. The bookmobile does travel through several of our elementary schools. During the summertime when I used to live by El Salvador Park, I used to love. I couldn't wait for the bookmobile to show up, so that we can get books. So I was thinking about the bookmobile. Moving forward, how can we partner on that? If there's any plans to get a second bookmobile, maybe that's something that we can have a conversation with. And those are just some things that I wanted to throw out. But now I'm going to turn it over to our superintendent. I had asked him to talk a little bit about something that we're involved in. We're involved with the Santa Ana Early Learning Initiative, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Armendariz.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Alvarez. So there are many opportunities that we can partner with the city, and a lot of these opportunities are grant funded through the district. So a lot of we have the financial resource to assist these. We don't necessarily always have the human resources, but things like the Santa Ana Early Learning Initiative is a good example of pulling financial resources together to train parents on how to help their children read at all levels of ages within their school system from K-12, typically focusing on the elementary level. We also have a California pre-kindergarten early learning initiative to focus on the preschool kids and building their foundational skills and literacy. We have an Uplift literacy grant that is by the state of California that helps bring literacy initiatives to districts, and think of things as the Chicano event that you're talking about, the community. What if we had opportunities for our community to come together using just the grants that I just described, and we're able to provide training for our parents and our grandparents, those that take care of the children, on how to help their children build their vocabulary and their literacy skills, and maybe even pull in authors, and they could come in and do some reading to the kids and maybe show them how a book is written at all levels. And a number of other focus on literacy initiative within the district, where we partner with our community partners. We have people come in. I know a lot of the city personnel come in and do readings. We have our our upper grades often do community service and help our students in the lower grades build their reading capacity. So there are many opportunities, and I think this is a good time to revisit the resolution on that the city could adopt related to the graduate profile, because one of those 8 components is a focus on literacy. And what message would that send to our entire community by the city embracing the importance of literacy and the other areas of the graduate profile? And we can work and partner together on every one of those 8 areas. College and career readiness is another example. Our faith-based community is looking at students as ethical leaders. So it really covers a wide range of things. And the resolution doesn't require any cost from the city, just support.
Go ahead, Councilmember Hernandez.
Yes, if we can get that information over to our city staff Superintendent Almendares. I would be happy to take the lead on that and work with my assistant, Yesenia Cruz, on scheduling that, and we can certainly make those updates to the resolution. Like we said, we're very supportive of these efforts, and we certainly want to respond with action. So looking
Perfect.
forward to your email, sir.
Thank you.
Also, in March, we're having a lot of our schools, specifically elementary, are doing the Read Across America. So they invite folks to come and speak. So if you council members are interested, or even your staff, it's cool, like to read to the little. So it's we'll figure out, and I think actually maybe some of the junior high, the middle schools as well. So I guess I'll talk to Mr. Almendares to loop in some of the council members, because it's like by site personally outreaching. So there's a lot of them going on at once, so we can figure out what would make the most sense. But it's in first week of March. Any other questions or comments on this item? Oh, good.
Just
Dr.
one,
Alvarez?
just a real quick comment. I think that I just wanted to stress the importance of us continuing to have these conversations and engaging in dialogue, because everything ties in. The one thing that I did want to mention is that one of the things that people point out often is our literacy rates. But what people don't realize is that 40% of our students are English learners. I was looking at the Conditions of Children report today, which was published by the County of Orange. The Conditions of Children report indicates that I think it was 48% of our kids are not ready for kindergarten. So they enter kindergarten without being ready for kindergarten, which means that when they go to first, they're behind. When they're second, they're behind, and they're continuously behind. And going back to what I had mentioned, all of this ties in, because what I mentioned before, a child can't learn if they're hungry. A child can't learn if they have housing instability. A child can't learn if they're traumatized. So all of those things are things that are variables that contribute to barriers to literacy. And I think that by working together, we can start tackling some of these issues. I saw on the agenda, or I think the city council, it has or is going to be allocating funding for continued distribution of food. We started we were distributing food before COVID. During COVID, we made sure that all of our kids are fed, and we made sure that we had enough food for our community. And even now that we're exiting from COVID, we're still doing food distributions. But how can we work together on that? Because if a kid doesn't have food, they can't learn, which impacts their ability to have success in school. And this is one of those issues towards where, you guys are doing distribution, we're doing distribution. I had mentioned in the past to the superintendent, well, why don't we just work together and open up a food pantry? We're serving the same people. It's the same. Our kids are your kids are our kids. The adults in your community, those are the tias and dads and moms of the kids that are within our school district. So I do think that there is a solution to everything, but we've just never really taken the opportunity to hash it all out. And that's it.
Mr. Scott?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on the literacy. Is there a way for next week we can not table it, but bring it up again our next meeting? And I'd like to invite our executive director, Brian Sternberg, because he is doing a lot of amazing things, and he would kind of help answer a lot of the questions you guys just brought up. Because again, we are doing some mini libraries at our rec centers, and there's a lot of great things he's doing. I'd like for him, if it's okay with you guys, to bring him aboard for next meeting to, show all the great things he's doing.
That sounds great. Mr. Hernandez and Mr. Almendares, Councilmember Hernandez and Mr. Almendares.
Thank you, Chairperson Torres. And just to follow up on that, Councilmember Lopez and myself at the City Council have introduced funding for early learning. As far back as 2021, we introduced $5 million for early learning programs. And we partnered with an organization that brought $9 million in funding for preschools. So there's infrastructure that we're building in the city, and we want to add to that. And I think that this conversation is one that eventually more cities are going to have, because Dr. Alvarez, you were absolutely right. Everything that you mentioned, cities need to start to be concerned about that as well. And I'm glad that, on the council, we have been supportive of it. And now that this conversation is happening, between a school district and a city, it only opens up the doors for, more collaborations, which is good for children across Orange County. So I just wanted to say thank you guys for that dialogue, and looking forward to adding more to it.
Thank you. Mr. Almendares?
Yes, I would love to have our district librarian in touch with your city librarian, Mr. Scott, or anybody you would recommend, because I think if they have regular meetings, they would both be able to coordinate events. And then, and maybe I think of some ways that we can enhance our partnership already. That's one issue. The other issue is Santa Ana Unified recently received our community implementation grant. And so there's a lot of state money coming down to help us educate our community on community schools. And so there are opportunities within that grant that will allow us to partner with the city that could provide, support for community and families as well.
I think I like this conversation about early literacy. I also think I know most school districts and educators have also been supportive of highlighting like banned book weeks, right? With the recent pushback against like books and censorship, I think it would be really good for us, as a district, we've taken stance, but the city as well, to say like, we don't want to limit access to knowledge, and especially knowledge that teaches students like who they are, where they're coming from, and provides an understanding as to why folks are struggling in certain ways in terms of structured opportunities or structured obstacles. And so I think that would be a good way to intersect with the needs of our community as well. Also the district, which I've only have a little bit of knowledge of, Mr. Almendares, I want to have a meeting with some folks that are more engaged in that process. But when I was going to our Native American parent group, because we applied for funding for our Native American students in particular, when our staff was presenting, I was really impressed because they presented on the translation of materials into indigenous languages from Central America. They did this whole study where a lot of our students, unaccompanied minors, as well as, families coming from Guatemala, and they figured out which indigenous Mayan languages, dialects were the most common, and then they translated them. And this was just on their own kind of accord. I'm going to suggest a presentation to the board at some point. But I thought it was really good as we talk about literacy and we talk about bilingualism or plurilingualism, that we make sure that it's not at the expense of heritage languages and indigenous languages, because we have a lot of families that speak Zapoteco, right? We have a lot of families that speak Mixteco, and they're not really accounted for in the data as much, even through like educational data markers. And so that leads to like erasure. And so there's definitely, as this city, which I'm very happy the direction the council has like gone in the last couple of years of really highlighting like our diverse cultures. I think we've had more cultural events the last couple of years than I've seen in a really long time, right? And so I think as we do that and we grow more, there's opportunities to have even more like diversity in language and customs and migration patterns and all of those kinds of things. So it's really exciting. It's very thankful for this space to be able to talk about this. Is there any other questions or comments?
If I can make one more comment, I just want to thank the city for lighting up the water tower and in support of We Care. It is it just means the world to all of the people, to the district and to the people on the committee, that it's their efforts have not gone unrecognized, and the support that we're getting sends a powerful message to everybody involved, and we're excited about the years to come. So thank you to the city for allowing that to happen.
Awesome.
Jerry, I was going to talk about that in my closing comments.
Oh, the thunder. Okay.
Sorry.
Mr. Scott.
It's funny you guys talk about lighting up the water tower, because we will soon be able to have the ability to do the same for the stadium as well, to go in hand with the water tower. So there's a lot of exciting things that are coming aboard, but we're excited I just want to bring that, when you guys mentioned that, I was like, hey, there's something else going to be lining up pretty soon right there in downtown Santa Ana. It's going to be awesome.
That's awesome.
So Chair, I did have a comment and a question, because I'm a big fan of concrete plans. And I heard the conversation, and I'm a big supporter of the early initiatives, especially all the work that the school district is doing. I think it's very admirable and something that I respect. So as I understand it, this topic is going to be brought back on an agenda where we're going to have our library staff or directors come and speak to us, and recommendations are going to be made to this committee.
Would that be able, I know they need time to meet. Would they have enough time to meet, collab, and have a report by March? Or do we want to allow space for the conversation to continue and then have more concrete?
I'm happy to like if we need to provide space, but I guess what I'm trying to get at is we're having this conversation, right? Throwing ideas. And we have to do the work of putting a draft plan together of what recommendations we're going to take to our governing bodies. And so that's what I'm getting at. When are we actually going to start doing that? Go ahead.
That is.
Yeah, so what I'd like to do, and if the city is open, maybe have our librarians come together and with a focus on early literacy, and then ask them to develop a plan for the remainder of the year, which includes partnering and activities that both the city can be a part of and we can need help with, and then take that back to this committee for conversation, and then you guys decide which topics or which events you want to focus on, and then respectively go back to our electeds and have that conversation on where to go from there. Would that be acceptable?
That's fine with me.
Okay. And we can definitely get it by March, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Anything else on this item? Okay, we're going to go on to subcommittee member comments. We'll start with Councilmember Hernandez.
Just want to say a happy Black History Month to everybody. The Orange County Heritage Council, a Santa Ana organization, recently hosted their 43rd annual Black History Parade in the city of Anaheim. I had the honor of joining Councilmember Lopez and our city of Santa Ana in supporting this parade, and it was a historic day of community and solidarity, and we look forward to celebrating many more Black progress here in Santa Ana, and tons of great work ahead of us. Thank you, everybody, for the opportunity to meet today.
Thank you. Board member or Dr. Alvarez?
Wanted to start off by wishing everybody a happy Black History Month. The one thing that I did want to mention is that one of our biggest celebrations is coming up. Boca de Oro is our arts festival is coming up late March, early April. So I'll ask the superintendent to reach out to you to give you guys information regarding that. And going back to like we were mentioning, like Boca de Oro is one of those community events that we can work on, that we can work together. You know, the person in charge of Robin McNair is the person in charge of putting together Boca de Oro, and I think that she's done an excellent job of also tying it into literacy, tying it into poetry, tying it into different things like that. You know, so I think it's going to be a great event, and hope you guys can make it.
Thank you, Dr. Alvarez. Councilmember Lopez?
Thank you, Chairperson. So yes, I just want to echo Dr. Almendarez's comments. You know, we've been working a subcommittee. It's called a mental health subcommittee, and it's a group of us that have been working for many months, some folks many years. And part of that was deciding what the city's role was in uplifting this campaign that is out there to prevent suicide. And so we did light up the water tower. We are going to be proclaiming the We Care, Get Help campaign tomorrow during the council meeting. So I encourage the board members to attend. I'm looking forward to seeing the subcommittee present as well. And please help share the resource fair, all of the events that have been put together by SAUSD staff. It's taken an entire village to put this together and to really hone in on the focus of, ensuring that people, especially young people, have their mental health taken care of, and how we curb suicides in our community.
Thank you. So I wanted to also acknowledge this is Black Lives Matter at School Week. So in conjunction with Black History Month, educators, I believe, and I want to say Seattle, maybe Oregon, started Black Lives Matter at School. So this week, specific lesson topics in order to motivate school sites and teachers to not only talk about Black history, but like contemporary struggles, Black joy, and have these different, and inviting students to engage in different advocacy. So it's known, but it's not that it happens everywhere. So I'm trying to highlight it as much as possible. I think for folks who are unsure, educators and parents, the first step would be just learning about some of these things, even if you're not ready to participate in the Black Lives Matter Week of Action, at School Week of Action. The other thing is, I know this Saturday, SAS is having their cycling event to the Crece Co-op. I think I'm really happy that this part of the city programming, I think the district could have some role in this as well in the future. I know I'm meeting with one of the SAS clubs at Santa Ana High School this week, some week soon. I'm going to their club meeting to kind of discuss whatever things I think are important with me. And then Cresa also relates to our farm to school program that we've been initiating since last year. We hired a I think it's a coordinator level position, trying to figure out how to source more fresh produce into our school system. So there's a lot of cool things happening in the district that there's just so much going on. It's hard to highlight all of it, but I just want to take a little bit of time to do that right now. We also have our freshman class this year is the first class of ethnic studies students that will have an ethnic studies as part of their graduation. So we have a variety of courses going on and a lot of stuff going on in the classrooms. And it's the first kind of year, and we're like 2 or 3 years ahead of the state requirement. Our requirement is a year, the state's requirement is a semester. So that's kind of that we're at this inaugural phase, and it's pretty exciting to see the teachers kind of grow and develop and the students getting involved. And I think, and we also have at Santa Ana High School like a level 2, it's almost like a independent studies level 2 ethnic studies course, because Santa Ana High School has kind of and Valley has some of the longevity ethnic studies courses. So there's good stuff going on, and I invite the council members to get involved in that, or when they get invited to things to come out. I think part of ethnic studies is being able to enact their own agency and being able to have delegations or discussions with decision makers, which is us, right? And so that's something that's really awesome. And the other thing is I'm glad this committee exists. I think you all have it on the agenda tomorrow. I hope the result of that agenda item is to keep this committee going. I think it seems took us a couple years just to get it established. It took us a couple months just to kind of get the ball rolling. It's important space, even if it looks like things are going slow, it takes time to build as a teacher, it takes a long time to build relationships and trust. And that can only happen when you're committed to creating the space to do that. And so this will probably be my last meeting, though. We're gonna be transitioning with the new elections. I'm assuming that's why it's on your agenda as well for tomorrow, as we have a transition. So I hope that we are able to keep this committee as a space where we can dialogue. I also felt it's super useful for residents who don't, going to city council is daunting, going to school board is daunting, but they can just kind of call into this space and get access to elected officials from both bodies and to just kind of troubleshoot what's happening and trying to, it's a little more intimate a space than our big meetings. And so I appreciate this. And so that's it for my long-winded comments. This is the conclusion. Wait, we don't have to vote? This is the conclusion of the meetings. Next regular meeting will take place on Monday, March 6th, 2023 at 6 p.m. The meeting is adjourned at 6:40. Oh,
Sorry. I think we skipped Dr. Alvarez.
Dr. Alvarez.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
See what happens? Go ahead, Dr. Alvarez. Is he thumbs upping me?
You're on mute.
He's muted.
Okay.
Did I have I been talking all this time when we be muted? Because I talked earlier about Black History Month. I talked about Boca de Oro. And
I think that's why. I'm sorry.
Do you have
any other comments that you want?
I just wanted to close. Happy Black History Month to everybody. I just mentioned earlier, Boca de Oro is one of our biggest festivals that's coming up. I'll have the superintendent send you more information on that so that you guys can save the date, and that's it for me.
Okay, is there any other protocol that I'm missing before I close? And we don't have to vote on this, I don't believe, no, okay. All right, so the meeting is adjourned at 6:43. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.